Welcome back to The Dirty Truth. I'm Benjamin Harris, and we're going to kick off this new year 2024 with a series of videos debunking the God Delusion by Richard Dawkins. So let's jump right in. Richard Dawkins' book, The God Delusion, would have you believe that God of the Christian worldview is a delusion. But what does this word delusion mean? In the context of this book, I would say he means delusion as a false conviction in something that is not real or shared by other people. Dawkins also says that he is not a fundamentalist, but rather he is very passionate in his beliefs, but that his beliefs can change. So Dawkins says, and I quote, "Fundamentalist Christians are passionately opposed to evolution, and I am passionately in favor of it. Passion for passion, we are evenly matched." He also says, when two opposite points of view are expressed with equal force, the truth does not necessarily lie midway between them. It is possible for one side to be simply wrong, and that justifies passion on the other side. So we're going to put that to the test and see if he's honestly passionate or if he's fundamentally stuck in his belief that no matter the evidence, God doesn't exist. So most people, when you're debating this topic that involves God or God versus science, they will immediately try to take the Bible out of the argument by saying things like only scientific data can be used in the debate, or the Bible isn't based in science, so we cannot use it. I would argue for this debate, or for this series, that the Bible is a book with a narrative of the theory of Jesus, just like Darwin's book is a book with a narrative of the theory of evolution. This makes both books valid in a debate because science is only data collected from observation and experimentation to either prove or disprove a theory. I would also point out that because Dawkins specifically singles out just one God in his book, The God Delusion, Dawkins saying, this is what he says, "In the rest of this book, I am only talking about supernatural gods, of which the most familiar of the majority of my readers will be Yahweh, the God of the Old Testament." So that means the Bible is a relevant source of information in this argument, because if the God of the Bible is a delusion, we got to know what the Bible says God says. For God to be a delusion would imply that man made up God so he could understand the world around him before he had the technology to do so. But according to the Christian biblical scripture, at what point did man know God? So the very first page of the Bible answers this question. Genesis 1, chapter 1, verses 26 through 28 says, "And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them." Verse 28, "And God blessed them, and God said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth." So from the very beginning, from the very moment of creation, man was introduced to God by God. Man didn't make him up. To put this into perspective, imagine you do not exist on any level, and then the next moment you're fully formed with the logical capacity to understand the world that you're in, and someone is now talking to you. Under this pretense, God cannot be a delusion. Rather, he is a part of the reality of his creation, because he is now talking and giving guidance to his creation. Okay, so this is a whole worldview. So you got the Christian worldview, where you've got the naturalistic worldview. But what is a worldview? So in order to understand what a worldview is, we must first agree on a few definitions. Because they always say belief isn't part of science. So let's see what these words actually mean. So, and I've covered this in another video, but we're going to go back over it for this one. Belief An acceptance that a statement is true or that something exists, something one can accept as true or real, a firmly held opinion or conviction. So what is a truth? The quality or state of being true, that which is true in accordance with fact or reality. So what is a fact? A fact is a thing that is known or proved to be true. All right, so what is reality? Reality is the world or the state of things as they exist, as opposed to an idealistic or notional idea of them. A thing that is expressed or seen, especially when this is grim or problematic. So what is faith? Faith is complete trust or confidence in someone or something. What is blind faith? Blind faith is trust or belief that is not supported by reason, logic, or evidence. It is different from faith, which is based on some reason or experience that justifies the trust or belief. So a worldview is a particular philosophy of life or conception of the world. Science. So whenever we say something is based in science, what does that mean? Science is the systematic study of the structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through observation, experimentation, and testing of theories against the evidence obtained. Prevaricate. What does prevaricate mean? To speak falsely or misleadingly. Deliberately misstate or create an incorrect impression, or to lie. Okay, so a worldview is a belief system that is based on faith, is rooted in truth, fact, reality, and logical thinking. Where worldviews would collide is when they are compared against each other, and one is based on blind faith and not supported by reason, logic, or evidence, and the other one is based in reality. Also, to say a worldview is scientific infers that its theory has been tested against the data collected from the systematic study of the structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through observation and experimentation. If the data agrees with the theory, it is scientifically accurate, and if the data collected disagrees with the theory, it is not scientifically accurate. So in this series, I intend to show that for Richard Dawkins to get his view of the God delusion across, he will go out of his way to prevaricate about the scientific evidence that his worldview is based on. So I'm going to keep Richard honest because he singled out God of the Old Testament. We're going to have a look at what the Bible claims God says. This allows the Bible as evidence, because what else would we be making a case about delusion if we do not know what the supposed delusion is? So over the next 10 videos, this is what we'll discuss the following topics. The next video will be in the beginning. Here we will test the Bible creation account against the Big Bang singularity and see which one is delusional. Because in order to get to evolution, you first have to have all the stuff. So you can't circumvent all of this. Where did everything come from? It had to have come from somewhere. So either God said and it was is correct, or the Big Bang singularity is correct. Only one of them can be right, and the rest of them are a delusion. The video after that, the video number 3, will be the origin of life. Here we will discuss the biblical account of life against origin of life research and see which one is delusional. So what we're talking about here is, how did life get started? So once we figure out where all the stuff came from, then you have to get life from non-life. We're going to look at the evidence for that. Video number 4 will be about evolution. So here we're going to bring in Darwinian evolution, and we're going to test it against DNA evidence that proves the biblical creation account and see which one is delusional. So once we've determined where everything came from and then how life got started, then we can see if it evolves. The next video will be the historical account of Jesus of Nazareth. Now, the reason why we bring Jesus up, Richard Dawkins attacks the God of the Old Testament. Well, in reading the Bible, the New Testament is where we get Jesus, and he claims to be the God of the Old Testament. So we're going to see the historical account of Jesus, and we're going to prove that he was a real person and not a delusion. The next video will be additional historical events in the Christian Bible. Here we will discuss historical events and the accuracy of these events. The next video will be about Hollywood music and the Christian biblical account, where we will discuss the role Hollywood and music play in corrupting people by normalizing sin. The next video will be false teachings, false preachings, and confusion, where we will discuss YouTube personalities that have a bad influence on people, false preachings from the Bible, and how disinformation is confusing. The next video will be on morality, and here we'll discuss why you need God to justify morality. And even the late Christopher Hitchens struggled with this question during a debate with Frank Turk, because Hitchens wouldn't give a direct answer to the question. So you can't say, where does the morality come from if there's no God? Because if you're saying something is morally wrong, that's just somebody's opinion. The next video will be language and universal language. In this video, we'll look at what makes language understandable, and then what makes a language universal. For example, mathematics. Mathematics is the universal language of physics, or DNA is the universal language of life. And then the final video will be a conclusion. In the final video, we'll sum up all the evidence to show that God is not a delusion, but rather the belief that there is no God. That is the delusion. The proof of God will be so overwhelming that Richard will have to admit there is a God, but he chooses not to believe in him. This is the whole point of these videos. And this is for all atheists, to admit that there is a God and to say that you choose not to believe in him. If atheists would do that, then there wouldn't be anything to debate about. So it's your free will, it's God-given free will to say, yep, there's a God, and no, I don't want to follow him. That's okay. That's what the whole Bible is about. That's what all of this is about. So, if you're atheist, it's okay to not believe in God. Now, what you're choosing is separation from God, and then there's consequences for that choice. That's also in the Bible. That'll be discussed in the conclusion. So I hope that you've enjoyed this introductory video. Please like and subscribe and follow along for the next video of In the Beginning. Have a great day. Happy New Year. God bless you all. See you next time.